What lessons are you learning about your body? What lessons have you earned the right to learn about? If you know that you have chronic pain and you cannot do certain movements, you've gone through a certain number of lessons about how to move and how not to move. And then it was your capability to adapt to those lessons, to adjust your mindset, to adopt the movements that you needed to bridge that gap in learning until that course of action, you were able to make it through all of those lessons and your body can move better. So that would be a course of actions, a set of lessons that you earned or learned. Would be if you had to go to a physical therapist for a short period of time, which I don't believe you should go to a physical therapist forever. But if you go to a physical therapist for a period of time, they bridge the gap for the learning, for the exercises, helping to train the muscles. After that, you move along the spectrum of your learning and you try to do a couple of things. You try to iron out, okay, what are my activities of daily life? What are my hobbies? What are the things that I love to do? Can I piggyback what I love to do into my exercise session? Can I actually get better at moving? Can I get better at moving? And can I ultimately get better at learning? Sometimes we don't talk about learning about the body enough. And now I don't mean learning to breathe. Like a simple test is this. If you were to take a deep breath in, exhale out, pinch your nose, and hold your nose until you felt the hunger, what's called air hunger, the yearning and the desire to breathe. At that point, you've learned what your baseline rate is for your tolerance for air hunger. And that's trainable. That's trainable. Everything is trainable. So when we talk about learning about the body, I think that it's important to recognize everything is trainable. So what do you want to train? What do you want to make easier? Balance? Are you walking around and you feel just kind of off-centered on your feet? Well, you should start with the feet, you should start with the legs, some balance activities. Do you want to hit the ball further? Do you want to sprint faster? A lot of these activities can be broken up into how do you need to breathe? How do you need to move your pelvis, your shoulders, and your head? You can break these down into lessons that your body can learn, and you want to give your body certain references. You want to rehearse the learning. So here's the big picture that I'm trying to share. This is the whole point of this talk at this moment. Your body learns what you teach it. So one thing to think about is, what do you want to teach your body to do? Do you want to teach it to move its big toe? Do you want to teach it to move its hips better? So you got to learn, what are the lessons? What are the takeaways, the key principles? What are the movements that are going to revive that learning in myself? Because I'm not a big believer in passive learning. If we've ever had a session together, you've ever spoken with me or talked to somebody about me, or some way we've come into contact, I essentially talk and go blah, 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 blah. Here's the point. And why? Because I want to get to the action. I want to get to the movement. Do you want to know why? Because when you go to retrieve the idea of movement, and there's a gap between your connection, between what you think and what you can do, there's a skill gap, a competency gap. When you go to retrieve that idea and you go to move your body in a certain way and you can't connect the dots, that's when learning happens. It's an uncomfortable place. It's a very gray area. Sometimes it can challenge our identity. Like, I should be able to do that. Or it affirms our identity. I'm an idiot. I never get these things. Neither one of those things are true. You have a gap. What references do you have? Did you get lost while you were trying to make the connection? Where are you headed? How can we create some barriers and some boundaries around the learning inside of your body? There is a kinesthetic intelligence, and the lessons that you learn about your body really get drilled in when you try to retrieve them, when you go to do the movement itself. The problem is you got to pick the right movement. What lessons are you learning? You got to pick the exercise that fits in with your hobby, your activities of daily life, or your challenges or your obstacles. You got to pick the movement lessons that are aligned with what stage of life you're in and what stage of life you're headed into. You don't want to sail into the next stage and not be able to balance, because you're going to fall down, break your hip, need a hip replacement. You don't want to get into your late 30s or early 40s with a tight body because all you did was arms in your 20s and 30s, because I got to tell you, it just doesn't feel good. Your body learns what you teach it. Respect that and think about it. And think about it in terms of learning. What am I retrieving when I'm drilling this exercise? What sort of connection am I making with tissue tension? What am I teaching the tissue to do so the tissue are more coordinated in an effort? So when I go to do this other activity, it's unconsciously competent. It just does it really well, and it costs little to nothing to play. So if you like this video, check out DominicSessa.com, my website, my YouTube, my Instagram. If you're on my newsletter, thanks for being here. We'll talk again soon.